Jai Guma. Start from. Translation. O Supreme Controller. O Supreme Controller, you control the three destinations: promotion to the heavenly planets, birth as a human being, and condemnation in the hell. Yet, your supreme abode is Vaikuntha Dham. Since we appeared after you created this cosmic manifestation, your activities are impossible for us to understand. We therefore have nothing to offer you but our humble obeisances. Purport. An inexperienced man generally does not know what to beg from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is under the jurisdiction of the created material world, and no one knows what benediction to ask when praying to the Supreme Lord. People generally pray to be promoted to the heavenly planets because they have no information of the Vaikuntha Loka. Srila Madhavacharya quotes the following verse. There are different planetary systems known as Devaloka, the planets of demigods, Pitraloka, the planet of Pitas, and Niraya, the hellish planets. When one transcends these various planetary systems and enters the Vaikuntha Loka, he achieves the ultimate resort of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas have nothing to do with other planetary systems. Text 33, translation. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Narayana, O Vasudeva, Original Person, O Most Exalted Person, Supreme Experience, Welfare Personified, O Supreme Benediction, Supremely Merciful and Changeless, O Support of the Cosmic Manifestation, Sole Proprietor of the Planetary Systems, Master of everything and Husband of the Goddess of Fortune. Your Lordship is realized by the topmost sannyasis who wander about the world to preach Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in samadhi through bhakti yoga. Because their minds are concentrated upon you, they can receive the conception of your personality in their fully purified hearts. When the darkness in their hearts is completely eradicated and you are revealed to them, the transcendental bliss they enjoy is the transcendental form of your Lordship. No one but such persons can realize you. Therefore, we simply offer you our respectful obeisances. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has numerous transcendental names pertaining to different grades of revelation to various grades of devotees and transcendentalists. When he is realized in his impersonal form, he is called the Supreme Brahman. When realized as the Paramatma, he is called Antaryami. And when he expands himself in different forms for material creation, he is called Shirodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Karanadakshai Vishnu. When he is realized as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh, the Chaturvyuha, who are beyond the three forms of Vishnu, he is the Vaikuntha Narayana. Above realization of Narayana is the realization of Baladev, and above that is the realization of Krishna. All these realizations are possible when one engages fully in devotional service. The covered core of one's heart is then completely open to receiving an understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His various forms. Text 34, translation. Maharaj? Maharaj, I stay in the Saket base, Maharaj. In the center run by His Grace Rasraj. Maharaj, I am from Rourkela, Maharaj. I passed out from there, Maharaj. Jugal Kishore program. Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, shall I continue reading? Text number 34, translation. O Lord, you need no support, and although you have no material body, you do not need cooperation from us. Since you are the cause of the cosmic manifestation and you supply its material ingredients without being transformed, you create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation by yourself. Nevertheless, although you appear engaged in material activity, you are transcendental to all material qualities. Consequently, these transcendental quality activities of yours are extremely difficult to understand. Purport. The Brahma Samhita, text 537 says, Goloka eva nivasati akilatma bhutha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is always situated in Goloka Vrindavan. It is also said, Vrindavanam parityajya padam ekam na gacchati. Krishna never goes even a step from Vrindavan. Nevertheless, although Krishna is situated in his own abode Goloka Vrindavan, he is simultaneously all-pervading and is therefore present everywhere. This is very difficult for a conditioned soul to understand. But devotees can understand how Krishna, without undergoing any changes, can simultaneously be in his abode and be all-pervasive. The demigods are understood to be various limbs of the Supreme Lord's body. Although the Supreme Lord has no material body and does not need anyone's help, he is spread everywhere. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Nevertheless, he is not present everywhere in his spiritual form. According to the Mayavad philosophy, the Supreme Truth, being all-pervasive, does not need a transcendental form. The Mayavadis suppose that since his form is distributed everywhere, he has no form. This is untrue. The Lord keeps his transcendental form and at the same time he extends everywhere, in every nook and corner of the material creation. Text 35, translation. These are our inquiries. The ordinary conditioned soul is subject to the material laws, and he thus receives the fruits of his actions. Does your Lordship, like an ordinary human being, exist within this material world in a body produced by the material modes? Do you enjoy or suffer the good or the bad results of actions under the influence of time, past work, and so forth? Or, on the contrary, are you present here only as a neutral witness who is self-sufficient, free from all material desires, and always full of spiritual potency? We certainly cannot understand your actual position. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he descends to this material world for two purposes, namely, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, to relieve the devotees and kill demons or non-devotees. These two kinds of actions are the same for the absolute truth. When the Lord comes to punish the demons, he bestows his favor upon them, and similarly, when he delivers his devotees and gives them relief, he also bestows his favor. Thus, the Lord bestows his favor equally upon the conditioned souls. When a conditioned soul gives relief to others, he acts piously, and when he gives troubles to others, he acts impiously. But the Lord is neither pious nor impious. He is always full in his spiritual potency, by which he shows equal mercy to the punishable and the protectable. The Lord is apapa vidham. He is never contaminated by the reactions of so-called sinful activities. When Krishna was present on this earth, He killed many inimical non-devotees, but they all received sarupya. In other words, they returned to their original spiritual bodies. One who does not know the Lord's position says that God is unkind to him but merciful to others. Actually, Lord says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse number 29, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyasti na priyaha. I am equal to everyone. No one is my enemy and no one is my friend. But he also says, E bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. If one becomes my devotee and fully surrenders unto me, I give him special attention. Text number 36, translation. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all contradictions can be reconciled in you. O Lord, since you are the Supreme Person, the reservoir of unlimited spiritual qualities, the Supreme Controller, your unlimited glories are inconceivable to the conditioned souls. Many modern theologians argue that right and wrong without knowing what is actually right. Their arguments are always false and their judgments inconclusive because they have no authorized evidence with which to gain knowledge of you. Because their minds are agitated by scriptures containing false conclusions, they are unable to understand the truth concerning you. Furthermore, because of polluted eagerness to arrive at the right conclusion, their theories are incapable of revealing you, who are transcendental to their material conceptions. You are one without a second, and therefore in you contradictions like doing and not doing, happiness and distress are not contradictory. Your potency is so great that it can do and undo anything as you like. With the help of that potency, what is impossible for you? Since there is no duality in your constitutional position, you can do everything by the influence of your energy. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being self-sufficient, is full of transcendental bliss. Atmaram. He enjoys bliss in two ways: when he appears happy and when he appears distressed. Distinctions and contradictions are impossible in him because only from him have they emanated. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all knowledge, all potency, all strength, opulence and influence. There is no limit to his powers. Since he is full in all transcendental attributes, nothing abominable from the material world can exist in him. He is transcendental and spiritual, and therefore conceptions of material happiness and distress do not apply to him. We should not be astonished to find contradictions in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, there are no contradictions. That is the meaning of being supreme. Because he is all powerful, he is not subjected to the conditioned soul's arguments regarding his existence or non existence. He is pleased to protect his devotees by killing their enemies. He enjoys both the killing and the protecting. Such freedom from duality applies not only to the Lord but also to his devotees. In Vrindavan, the damsels of Vrajabhumi enjoy transcendental bliss in the company of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and they feel the same transcendental bliss in separation when Krishna and Balram leave Vrindavan for Mathura. There is no question of material pains or pleasures for either the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his pure devotees, although they are sometimes superficially said to be distressed or happy. One who is Atmaram is blissful in both ways. Non-devotees cannot understand the contradictions present in the Supreme Lord or his devotees. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. The transcendental pastime can be understood through devotional service. To non-devotees, they are inconceivable. Achintya kalu e bhava natam starkena yojayat. The Supreme Lord and his form, name, pastimes and paraphernalia are inconceivable to the non-devotees. And one should not try to understand such realities simply by logical arguments. They will not bring one to the right conclusion about the absolute truth. Text number 37. Translation. A rope causes fear for a bewildered person who considers it a snake.
but for a person with proper intelligence who knows it to be only a robe. Similarly, you as the super soul is in everyone's heart inspire fear or fearlessness according to one's intelligence. But in you there is no duality. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita chapter number 4 verse number 11, the Lord says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of everything, including all knowledge, all truth, and all contradictions. The example cited herein is very appropriate. A rope is one truth, but some mistake it for a snake, whereas others know it to be a rope. Similarly, devotees who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not see contradictions in him, but non-devotees regard him as the snake-like source of all fear. For example, when Nrsimhadev appeared, Prahlad Maharaj saw the Lord as the Supreme Solace, whereas his father, a demon, saw him as the ultimate death. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, chapter number 2, verse number 37, Bhayam Ditya Abhineveshataha Syat. Fear results from being absorbed in duality. When one is in knowledge of duality, one knows both fear and bliss. The same Supreme Lord is a source of bliss to the devotees and fear to non-devotees who have a poor fund of knowledge. God is one, but people understand the absolute truth from different angles of vision. The unintelligent see contradictions in him, but sober devotees find no contradictions. Text number 38, translation. With deliberation, one will see that Supreme Soul, although manifested in different ways, is actually the basic principle of everything. Total material energy is the cause of the material manifestation, but the material energy is caused by him. Therefore, he is the cause of all causes, the manifester of intelligence and the senses. He is perceived as the super soul of everything. Without him, everything would be dead. You as the super soul, the supreme controller, are the only one remaining. Purport. The words Sarva Vastuni Vastu Swarupaha indicate that the Supreme Lord is active principle of everything. As described in Brahma Samhita 535. Ekopyasau rachayitam jagadanda koti yash shakti rasti jagadanda chayayadanta andantarastha paramanu chayantarastam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the personality of God at Govinda, who enters the existence of every universe and every atom by one of his plenary portions and thus manifests his infinite energy throughout the material creation. By his one plenary portion as Paramatma, Antaryami, the Lord is all pervading throughout the unlimited universes. He is the Pratyak or Antaryami of all living entities. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 13.3, Kshetragyam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. O Skyon of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. Because the Lord is the super soul, he is the active principle of every living entity and even the atom. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. He is the actual reality. According to various stages of intelligence, one realizes the presence of the Supreme in everything through the manifestations of his energy. The entire world is permeated by the three gunas, and one can understand his presence according to one's mode of material nature. Text number 39. Therefore, O killer of the Madhu demon, incessant transcendental bliss flows in the minds of those who have even once tasted but a drop of the nectar from the ocean of your glories. Such exalted devotees forget the tiny reflection of so-called material happiness produced from the material senses of sight and sound. Free from all desires, such devotees are the real friends of all living entities. Offering their minds unto you and enjoying transcendental bliss, they are expert in achieving the real goal of life. O Lord, you are the sole and dear friend of such devotees who never need return to this material world. How could they give up engagement in your devotional service? Purport. Although Although non-devotees, because of their meager knowledge and speculative habits, cannot understand the real nature of the Lord, a devotee who has once tasted the nectar of the Lord's lotus feet can realize what transcendental pleasure there is in the Lord's devotional service. A devotee knows that simply by rendering service to the Lord, he serves everyone. Therefore, devotees are the real friends to all living entities. Only a pure devotee can preach the glories of the Lord for the benefit of all conditioned souls. Text number 40, translation. O Lord, O personified three worlds, Father of the three worlds, O strength of the three worlds, in the form of Vamana incarnation, O three-eyed form of Narsimadev, O most beautiful person within the three worlds, everything and everyone, including human beings and even the Daitya demons and the Dhanavas, is but an expansion of your energy. O supremely powerful one, you have always appeared in your forms as the various incarnations to punish the demons as soon as they become very powerful. You appear as Lord Vamandev, Lord Ram, and Lord Krishna. You appear sometimes as an animal like Lord Boar, sometimes a mixed incarnation like Narsimadev and Lord Hayagriva, and sometimes an aquatic like Lord Fish or Lord Tortoise. Assuming such various form, you have always punished the demons and Dhanavas. We therefore pray that your Lordship, appear today as another incarnation if you so desire to kill the great demon Vritrasur. Purport. There are two kinds of devotees, known as Sakam and Akam. Pure devotees are Akama, whereas devotees in the upper planetary systems, such as the demigods, are called Sakam because they still want to enjoy material opulence. Because of their pious activities, the Sakama devotees are promoted to the higher planetary systems. But at heart, they still desire to lord it over the material resources. The Sakama devotees are sometimes disturbed by demons and Rakshasas. But the Lord is so kind that He always saves them by appearing as an incarnation. The Lord's incarnations are so powerful that Lord Vamandev covered the entire universe with 2 steps and therefore had no place for his 3rd step. The Lord is called Trivikrama because he showed his strength by delivering the entire universe with merely 3 steps. The difference between Sakama and Akama devotees is that when Sakama devotees, like demigods, fall into difficulty, they approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for relief. Whereas the Akama devotees, when in greatest danger, never disturb the Lord for material benefits. Even if an Akama devotee is suffering, he thinks this is due to his past impious activities and agrees to suffer the consequences. He never disturbs the Lord. Sakama devotees immediately pray to the Lord as soon as they are in difficulty. But they are regarded as pious because they consider themselves fully dependent on the mercy of Lord, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto chapter number 14 verse number 8. Tattenukampa susumikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagvapurbir vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayavak. Even while suffering in the midst of difficulties, devotees simply offer their prayers and service more enthusiastically. In this way, they become firmly fixed in devotional service and eligible to return home back to Godhead without a doubt. Sakama devotees, of course, achieve from the Lord the results they desire from their prayers, but they do not immediately become fit to return to Godhead. It is to be noted herein that Lord Vishnu, in his various incarnations, is always the protector of his devotees. Srila Madhavacharya says, Vividham bhava patravat sarve Vishnu vibhutayah. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All other incarnations proceed from Lord Vishnu. Text number 41, translation. O Supreme Protector, O Grandfather, O Supreme Pure, O Lord, we are all surrendered souls at your lotus feet. Indeed, our minds are bound to your lotus feet in meditation by chains of love. Now please manifest your incarnation, accepting us as your own eternal servants and devotees. Be pleased with us and sympathetic towards us. by your love-filled glance with its cool and pleasing smile of sympathy, and by the sweet nectarian words emanating from your beautiful face, free us from the anxiety caused by this Vritrasur, who always pains the course of our hearts. Purport. Lord Brahma is considered the father of the demigods, but Krishna or Lord Vishnu is the father of Brahma because Brahma took birth from the lotus flower growing from Lord's abdomen. Text number 42, translation. O Lord, as the small spark of fire cannot possibly perform the actions of the whole fire, we sparks of your Lordship cannot inform you of the necessities of our lives. You are the complete whole. Therefore, of what do we need to inform you? You know everything because you are the original cause of the cosmic manifestation, the maintainer and the annihilator of the entire universal creation. You always engage in your pastimes with your spiritual and material energies. For you are the controller of all these varied energies. You exist within all living entities, within the cosmic manifestation, and also beyond them. You exist internally as Parabrahman and externally as the ingredients of the material creation. Therefore, although manifested in various stages at different times and places and in various bodies, you are the personality of Godhead, are the original cause of all causes. Indeed, you are the original element. You are the witness of all activities, but because you are as great as the sky, you are never touched by any of them. You are the witness of everything as Parabrahman and Paramatma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, nothing is unknown to you. Purport. The absolute truth exists in three phases of spiritual understanding: Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabhyate. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of Brahman and Paramatma. Brahman, the impersonal absolute truth, is all pervading, and Paramatma is locally situated in everyone's heart. But Bhagavan, who is worshipable by the devotees, is the original cause of all causes. A pure devotee is aware that since nothing is unknown to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he need not be informed of a devotee's conveniences and inconveniences. A pure devotee knows that there is no need to ask the absolute truth for any material necessities. Therefore, while informing the Supreme Lord about their distress in being attacked by Vritrasur, the demigods apologized for offering prayers for their safety. A neophyte devotee, of course, approaches the Supreme Lord for relief from distress or poverty, or for speculative knowledge of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita chapter number 7 verse number 16 mentions four kinds of pious men who begin devotional service to the Lord. One who is distressed, Artha; one in need of money, Artharthi; one who is inquisitive, Jigyasu; and one who is searching for the absolute truth, Jnani. A pure devotee, however, knows that since the Lord is omnipresent and omniscient, there is no need to offer prayers or worship Him for one's personal benefit. A pure devotee always engages in the service of the Lord without demanding anything. The Lord is present everywhere and knows the necessities of His devotees. Consequently, there is no need to disturb Him by asking for material benefits. Text number 43, translation. Dear Lord, you are omniscient, and therefore you know very well why we have taken shelter at your lotus feet, which provide shade that gives relief from all material disturbances. Since you are the supreme spiritual master and you know everything, we have sought shelter of your lotus feet for instructions. Please give us relief by counteracting our present distress. Your lotus feet are the only shelter for a fully surrendered devotee and are the only means for subduing all the tribulations of this material world. Purport. One need only seek shelter of the shade of the Lord's lotus feet. Then all the material tribulations that disturb him will be subdued. Just as when one comes under the shadow of a big tree, the disturbances caused by the heat of the scorching sun are immediately mitigated without once asking for relief. Therefore, the whole concern of the conditioned soul should be the lotus feet of the Lord. The conditioned soul, suffering from various tribulations because of existing in this material world, can be relieved only when he seeks shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. Text number 44, translation. Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Controller, O Lord Krishna, please annihilate this dangerous demon Vritrasur, Tvashta's son, who has already swallowed all our weapons, our paraphernalia for fighting, and our strength and influence. Purport. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita chapter number 7, verse number 15 and 16, Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradama maya apharta jnana ashuram bhavam ashrita chaturvuja bhajante mam jana sukirtino arjuna artha jigyasur arthati jnani cha bharatarshava. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest amongst mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake to the atheist nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of the wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. The 4 classes of neophyte devotees who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to offer devotional service because of material motives are not pure devotees. But the advantage of such materialistic devotees is that they sometimes give up their material desires and become pure. When the demigods are utterly helpless, they approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in grief and with tears in their eyes, praying to the Lord, and thus they become almost pure devotees, free from material desires. Admitting that they have forgotten pure devotional service because of extensive material opportunities, they fully surrender to the Lord, leaving to his consideration whether to maintain them or annihilate them. Such surrender is necessary. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Maravi Rakhovi, Ya Icha Tohar. O Lord, I fully surrender unto your lotus feet. Now as you desire, you may protect me or annihilate me. You have the full right to do either. Text number 45, translation. O Lord, O Supreme Pure, you live within the core of everyone's heart and observe all the desires and activities of the conditioned souls. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Lord Krishna, your reputation is bright and illuminating. You have no beginning, for you are the beginning of everything. This is understood by pure devotees because you are easily accessible to the pure and truthful. When the conditioned souls are liberated and sheltered at your lotus feet, after roving throughout the material world for many millions of years, they attain the highest success of life. Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Purport. The demigods certainly wanted Lord Vishnu to relieve their anxiety, but now they directly approach Lord Krishna. For although there is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, Krishna descends to this planet in his Vasudev future for the purpose of Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya cha Dushkrita, protecting his devotees and annihilating the miscreants. Demigods or atheists always disturb the demigods or devotees, and therefore Krishna descends to punish the atheists and demons and fulfill the desire of his devotees. Krishna, being the original cause of everything, is the Supreme Person above even Vishnu and Narayana. Although there is no difference between these different forms of Lord, as explained in Brahma Samhita 546, Deeparchureva hi dashantaram abhyupetya Deepayate vivrata hetu samana dharma Yastadrageva hi cha Vishnutaya vibhati Govindamadi Purusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna expands himself as Vishnu the way a bright candle kindles other. Although there is no difference between the power of one candle and another, Krishna is compared to the original candle. The word Mrishta Yashase is significant herein because Krishna is always famous for relieving his devotees from danger. A devotee who has sacrificed everything for the service of Krishna and whose only source of relief is the Lord is known as Akinchana. As expressed in the prayers offered by Queen Kunti, the Lord is Akinchana Vitta, the property of such a devotee. Those who are liberated from the bondage of conditional life are elevated to the spiritual world where they achieve five kinds of liberation: Sayujya, Salokya, Sarupya, Sarshti, and Samipya. They personally associate with the Lord in five mellows: Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. These rasas are all emanations from Krishna. As described by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the original mellow Adiras is conjugal love. Krishna is of pure and spiritual conjugal love. Text number 46. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, when the demigods offered the Lord their sincere prayers in this way, the Lord listened by his causeless mercy. Being pleased, he then replied to the demigods. Text number 47. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O beloved demigods, you have offered your prayers to me with great knowledge, and I am certainly most pleased with you. A person is liberated by such knowledge, and thus he remembers my exalted position, which is above the conditions of material life. Such a devotee is fully purified by offering prayers in full knowledge. This is the source of devotional service to me. Purport. Another name of Supreme Personality of Godhead is Uttama Shloka, which means that he is offered prayers with selected verses. Bhakti means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, chanting and hearing about Lord Vishnu. Impersonalists cannot be purified, for they do not offer personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though they sometimes offer prayers, the prayers are not directed towards the Supreme Person. Impersonalists sometimes show their incomplete knowledge by addressing the Lord as being nameless. They always offer prayers indirectly, saying, You are this, you are that. But they do not know to whom they are praying. A devotee, however, always offers personal prayers. A devotee says, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I offer my respectful obeisance unto Govinda, unto Krishna. That is the way to offer prayers. If one continues to offer such personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is eligible to become a pure devotee and return home back to Godhead. Text number 48. Translation. O best of the intelligent demigods, although it is true that nothing is difficult for one to obtain when I am pleased with him, a pure devotee whose mind is exclusively fixed upon me does not ask me for anything but the opportunity to engage in devotional service. Purport. When the demigods finished offering their prayers, they anxiously waited for their enemy Vritrasura to be killed. This means that the demigods are not pure devotees. Although without difficulty one can get anything he desires, if the Lord is pleased, the demigods aspire for material profit by pleasing the Lord. The Lord wanted the demigods to pray for unalloyed devotional service, but instead they prayed for an opportunity to kill their enemy. This is the difference between a pure devotee and a devotee of the material platform. Indirectly, the Lord regretted that the demigods did not ask for pure devotional service. Text number 49. Translation. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers, kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, the absolute truth, and who thus knows his real interest. A Kripana, however, is one who has a material bodily conception of life, not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life. A Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas who always desire material benefits are foolish, whereas Brahmanas who always desire spiritual benefits are intelligent. If a Kripana, not knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who awards it to him is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayer to the Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by the Lord in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter number 2, verse number 39, Ami Vigya e Murke Vishaya Khena Diva Sarvat Swa Charanamrita Diya Vishaya Gulaiva. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If one sincerely prays to the Lord for material possession in exchange of devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept material possession means to accept poison or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self-interest of a human being. Text number 50, translation. A pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct a foolish person to engage in fruitive activities for material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to health, even if the patient desires it. Purport. Here is the difference between the benedictions awarded by the demigods and those awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Devotees of the demigod ask for benediction simply for sense gratification, and therefore they have been described in the Bhagavad Gita as bereft of intelligence. Kamaistaiste hritaggyana prapadyante anya devata tam niyamam asthaya prakritaya niyata swaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Conditioned souls are generally bereft of intelligence because of profound desire for sense gratification. They do not know that benedictions to ask. Therefore, non-devotees are advised in the Shastras to worship various demigods to achieve material benefits. For example, if one wants a beautiful wife, he is advised to worship Uma or goddess Durga. If one wants to be cured of a disease, he is advised to worship the sun god. All requests for benediction from demigods, however, are due to material lust. These benedictions will be finished at the end of the cosmic manifestation, along with those who bestow them. If one approaches Lord Vishnu for benedictions, the Lord will give him a benediction that will help him return home back to God. This is also confirmed by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 10, verse number 10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam enamam upayanti te. Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna instructs a devotee who constantly engages in service how to approach him at the end of this material body. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita chapter number 4 verse number 9, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. This is the benediction of Lord Vishnu, Krishna after giving up his body. A devotee returns home back to Godhead. A devotee may foolishly ask for material benedictions, but Lord Krishna does not give him such benediction despite the devotee's prayer. Therefore, people who are very attached to material life do not generally become devotees of Krishna or Vishnu. Instead, they become devotees of demigods. Kamaistaistairhitagyana prapadyanten anya devata. The benedictions of the demigods, however, are condemned in Bhagavad Gita. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasham. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. A non-Vaishnava, one who is not engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered a fool with small quantity of brain substance. Text number 51, translation. O Maghavan, Indra, all good fortune unto you. I advise you to approach the exalted saint Dadichi. He has become very accomplished in knowledge, vows and austerities, and his body is very strong. Go ask him for his body without a delay. Purport. Even in this material world, from Lord Brahma down to the ant, is eager to keep his body comfortable. A pure devotee may also be comfortable, but he is not eager for such benedictions. Since Maghavan, the king of heaven, still aspired for a comfortable bodily situation, Lord Vishnu advised him to ask Dadyancha for his body, which was very strong due to his knowledge, vows, and austerity. Text number 52. That saintly Dadyancha, who is known as Dadichi, personally assimilated the spiritual science and then delivered it to Ashwini Kumaras. It is said that Dadyancha gave them mantras through the head of a horse. Therefore, the mantras are called Ashwa Sharira. Therefore, obtaining the mantras of spiritual science from Dadichi, the Ashwini Kumaras became Jiva Mukta, liberated even in this life. The following stories is narrated by many acharyas in their commentaries. The great saint Dadichi had perfect knowledge of how to perform fruitive activities and he had advanced spiritual knowledge as well. Knowing this, the Ashwini Kumaras once approached him and begged him to instruct them in spiritual science, Brahma Vidya. Dadichi Muni replied, I am engaged in arranging sacrifices for fruitive activities. Come back sometime later. When the Ashwini Kumaras left, Indra, the king of heaven, approached Dadichi and said, My dear Muni, the Ashwini Kumaras are only physicians. Please do not instruct them in spiritual science. If you impart spiritual science to them, despite my warning, I shall punish you by cutting off your head. After warning Dadichi in this way, Indra returned to heaven. The Ashwini Kumaras, who understood Indra's desires, returned and begged Dadichi for Brahma Vidya. When the great saint Dadichi informed them of Indra's threat, the Ashwini Kumaras replied, Let us first cut off your head and replace it with the head of a horse. You can instruct Brahma Vidya through the horse's head, and when Indra returns and cuts off that head, we shall reward you and restore your original head. Since Dadichi had promised to impart Brahma Vidya to Ashwini Kumaras, he agreed to their proposal. Therefore, because Dadichi imparted Brahma Vidya through the mouth of a horse, this Brahma Vidya is also known as Ashwa Shira. Text number 53, translation. Dadyancha's invincible protective covering, known as Narayana Kavacha, was given to Tvashta, who delivered it to his son Vishwarupa, from whom you have received it. Because of this Narayana Kavacha, Dadichi's body is now very strong. You should therefore beg him for his body. Text number 54. When the Ashwini Kumaras beg for Dadyancha's body on your behalf, he will surely give it because of affection. Do not doubt this, for Dadyancha is very experienced in religious understanding. When Dadyancha award you his body, Vishwakarma will prepare a thunderbolt from his bones. This thunderbolt will certainly kill Vritrasur because it will be invested with my power. Tasmin vinihite yuyam tejo shrata yuddha sampada
Bhuya Tripistibhadrambu Na Himshati Chammadparam. Text number 55. Translation. When Vritrasur is killed because of my spiritual strength, you will regain your strength, weapons, and wealth. Thus, there will be all good fortune for all of you. Although Vritrasur can destroy all the three worlds, do not fear that he will harm you. He is also a devotee and he will never be envious of you. Purport. A devotee of the Lord is never envious of anyone. What to speak of other devotees? As revealed later, Vritrasur was also a devotee. Therefore, he was not expected to be envious of the demigods. Indeed, of his own accord, he would try to benefit the demigods. A devotee does not hesitate to give up his own body for a better cause. Chanakya Pandit said, Sannimite varam tyago vinashyase niyate sati. After all one's material possessions, including his body, will be destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, if the body and other possessions can be utilized for a better cause, a devotee never hesitates to give up his own body. Because Lord Vishnu wanted to save the demigods, Vritrasur, even though able to swallow the three worlds, would agree to be killed by demigods. For a devotee, there is no difference between living and dying. Because in this life, a devotee engages in devotional service, and after giving up his body, he engages in the same service in the spiritual world. His devotional service is never hindered. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 9th chapter, 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Demon Vritrasur. Chapter 10, The Battle Between Demigods and Vritrasur. Text number 1. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, after instructing Indra in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, the cause of the cosmic manifestation, then and there disappeared from the presence of onlooking demigods. Text number 2. Translation. O King Parikshit, although following Lord's instruction, the demigods approached Dadichi, the son of Atharva. He was very liberal, and even they begged him to give them his body. He at once partially agreed. However, just to hear religious instructions from them, he smiled and jokingly spoke as follows. Text number 3. Translation. O elevated demigods, at the time of death, severe, unbearable pain takes away the consciousness of all living entities who have accepted the material bodies. Don't you know about this pain? Text number 4. In this material world, every living entity is much addicted to his material body, struggling to keep his body forever. Everyone tries to protect it by all means, even at the sacrifice of all his possessions. Text number 5. The demigods replied, O exalted Brahmana, pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to the people in general. What can't such pious souls give for the benefit of others? They can give everything, including their bodies. Text number 6. Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. Purport. This verse describes two people, one who gives charity and one who begs for it. The beggar should not ask charity from a person who is in difficulty. Similarly, one is able to give charity should not deny a beggar. These are the moral instructions of the Shastra. Chanakya Pandit says, Sannimite varam tyago vinashe niyate sati. Everything within this material world will be destroyed, and therefore डाल दीजिए इसको सेट
तुलसी लगा लीजिए। वो फेस पे मत डालिएगा, अच्छे से फेस पे मत लगाइए, उसको बचा के रखिए तो अच्छा दिखेगा।
घूमने जा रहे
नहीं आएंगे नहीं।
तुलसी लगा लो, आप लगा लो। तुलसी एकादशी में ये सब चेंज करते हैं कि नहीं करते?
ये सब नहीं करती है, जो नहीं सिर्फ
वो
वो श्रृंगार के लिए जो होता है वो
ये
चाहिए।
सिंपल ये चेंज करते हैं,
हाँ
ये चेंज नहीं होता।
ये तो है नहीं ना, वैसे ही उतना ही है।
लास्ट टाइम हम ये चेंज करते थे नहीं कल
नहीं नहीं
गिरिराज का।
वो ही सेपरेट एक ही है।
उसका अलग बॉक्स हो गया, राइट?
बॉक्स,
उसका अलग बैक वो पाउच होगा।
हाँ वो उसमें सब उसमें सोने का है, सबका सेपरेट। पहले अपना गिरिराज में लगाएंगे ना। तुलसी
पूजा हो गया। इस बार हम वृंदावन जाए ना तो इसको भी कराना है।
अच्छा इसको कराना था।
कराने दें, हाँ इसको भी करा देंगे।
6 तारीख को जाएंगे,
हाँ
7-8 को फिर वापस लाना पड़ेगा।
आज
लेकिन
मैं फ़ोन कर दूँगा उसे कि भाई एक दिन में कर दूँ क्या?
हाँ उसी दिन कर सके, अच्छा है, जाते ही दे देंगे।
इसको बलराम बनाओ,
इसको बलराम बना दें।
छोटा लग रहा है। छवि का लग रहा है।
ये तो गोवर्धन, डायरेक्ट गोवर्धन। इसका जुगाड़ करना पड़ेगा, सेटिंग करना पड़ेगा थोड़ा। टिश्यू लाना पड़ेगा, टिश्यू नहीं। रिबन डाल दीजिए इसमें। जब कम पड़ जाता है।
ये भी एक है ना, ये भी एक है ना? तो इसका अलग है ना?
एक ही उसका सबसे हैवी रहता है।
Yes, ये इसी के ये इसी मैं कपड़े मैं कपड़े सुनना है। Yes, मैं इसी के है।
अच्छा ये भी आ गया। यस मैं बोला था।
मसल्स आपको निकालोगे हाँ? उसी के लिए
Ja, Hare Krishna.
या अरे वाह ऐसे कैसे
शांति का बात नहीं माने देखा तब तक ठीक है बहुत ऑफिस होता है
चंदी मुझ था ना
कुछ नहीं
बच दिया था ना अच्छा गुरु राधा कृष्ण बना दिया ओके
हम लोग कोई नहीं, चलो वहाँ जाएंगे, नाम तुम चेंज कर देंगे थोड़ा।
क्या
क्या
करें
बलराम था क्या वो?
हाँ हाँ,
मुझे
बलराम ही था ना, तो क्या
यही
करेंगे?
तो बोले कि ऐसे करके बनवाना, वो उसको देख रहे हैं, उसको देख रहे हैं।
अच्छा ठीक है, चलो भगवान की इच्छा। तो ये जो सिला है ना, आपको बलराम बना देंगे।
इसका
कृष्ण के आगे जो सिला है ना,
फुल सेट
नहीं वो राधा रानी है, लेफ्ट में जो है कृष्ण के, उसको बलराम बना देंगे।
हाँ ठीक है चलेगा कृष्ण बलराम
वो थोड़े छोटे लग रहे हैं
कौन
बलराम जी।
हाँ चलेगा कोई
और दीपदान का तो दीपदान के फिर कहाँ?
रोज
ऊपर गए थे?
यहाँ पे
कौन लगाया था?
टोरंटो को मैं थे, लगा और परमात्मा
लगाया कौन था?
हर ब्रह्मा
क्या लैम्प लैम्प कौन तैयार किया?
अच्छा राम का।
हाँ अरे गिल्ला
ये तो मैं प्रोजेक्ट ये नहीं आएगा ना, ये तो तुम
नहीं ये दूसरा लगा दे ना सोने का।
हाँ सुन
ये तो मैं
इनको खड़ा करके रखो ओ
चलने लगा।
हाँ
बड़ा
ये
बड़ा
वो ठीक है।
अजय उन्हें सिलसिला कर खड़ा कर सो गए हो
इसको रख दीजिए।
Oh, Govinda.
हर एकादशी को जुनून चेंज कर दो
हर एकादशी को कभी कभी बहुत है ये जाने बहुत बनता है
The Arjun tree was the bark of the tree, so they went forward of that. This one, it's the form of powder. It's the form of powder, and it can be taken either with milk or water. Or we can get it made also.
वो छोटे वाला छोटे सिला वो दीजिए
साइज में देखते हैं लगाते हैं
हाथ पूरा हमारा एकदम 4 बजे आँख खुला पहले देखा ये उठा कि नहीं थोड़ा सा आराम से सो रहा है मस्त
3 बजे उठा लाइव में सुन रहे हैं सब हम लोग इतना लेट उठा है
This is the powder. With the bark, they crush the bark and completely dead. So it's very good. It's clever tonic for the heart. Very good tonic.
आपको ट्रेनिंग लेना
Also,
पड़ेगा
it should circulation.
बिगाड़ दूंगा।
Actually, oil goes up.
इतने बड़ा लंबा इधर
That's why. I'll just find out for how much quantity of
कितना
how much you
हमने जने कौन रखा इधर
हमारे दामाद को
वो चेंज करेगा
ये अच्छा है ऐसा है क्या
ये साइज देख के ना लगाएंगे अच्छा रहेगा
quantity of but this is
आपको साइज पता होगा तो बड़ा
वो
होगा
देखने में लगता है ना साइज देखने में पता चल जाएगा कितना बड़ा दिख रहा है ये थोड़ा बड़ा लग रहा है धीरे से वो मुकुट ना गिरे आराम से आपका दिलराज
गिरिराज इतना बड़ा है रोहन इतना बड़ा है
मेरा नहीं छोटा
Yeah, I'm going on 20%.
ये ऐसे पीछे कैसे रख दिया
आसन
दिन दरेगा
खुल गया
इससे बढ़िया माला वहाँ बनाते हैं क्या? फुल वहाँ पे अच्छा रंग मिलता है।
वहाँ पे तो अच्छा नहीं करते सर, यहाँ अच्छा होता है, यहाँ फ्रेश होता है सर।
चेंज कर लेते हैं, अच्छा होता है। कंट्रोल नहीं हो रहा ना आपका कंट्रोल थोड़ी हो गया, मेरा पुराना हो गया।
पुराने हो गए तो कुछ लोग एकादशी को बदलते हैं, मैं नहीं बदलता।
मुझे मोटा जानवर पसंद है,
मुझे भी
मेरे यहाँ पतला जानवर था, इसलिए मैं मोटा जानवर
Actually-
ढूंढ के निकाला। जैसे डॉस कल खाता तो मोटा जानवर था मेरा।
एक्चुअली में जनेऊ जो गाय की दूध की धार होती है उतना मोटा होना चाहिए, तो ये वाला उतना। अरे ये सब इतनी चीज़ें रेगुलेशंस फॉलो नहीं।
3 बार गायत्री हो जाए सबसे बड़ी बात है।
ये रसी जैसा, ये तो रसी है। नर्सिंग देव कपड़े पूरा डालती है, डर लगता नहीं होता।
यूजुअली ये वाला शिला है उस कुर्मा शिला, उसको अंदर हम ये नहीं डालते ना, ये प्लेट लगाते हैं नहीं, मतलब हम जैसे वहाँ पर फूल लगा
हमारा सारे शिला को एक प्लेट लगा देते
हाँ सारे शिला के प्लेट लगा देते
हैं, या अपने हिसाब से करते हैं। एक दो प्लेट और नया बना देना
प्लेट
भगवान के लिए।
अच्छा 10 प्लेट है।
आपको ग्लास चाहिए तो 10 तक बस ग्लास है यार,
ग्लास तो एक्स्ट्रा है ना, हो गया।
या ऊपर का आप निकाल देते हो ना।
कौन सी?
हमारा कृष्ण बोल रहा हमको 2 लगा देते, आप 1 लगा रहे हो।
कृष्ण बल है ना, गिरिराज है कृष्ण बलराम। एक इधर से हुआ नरसिंह देवता,
यहाँ पर सबको 1-1 लगा देते हैं हमारा, और सबको 1-1 निकाल देते हैं।
बात तो वही है पिक्चर।
शिला ले लो ना, ग्लास से बहुत सारा ग्लास पड़ा है।
मेरे पास नहीं है ग्लास।
दूसरी तरफ कुछ ग्लास पड़ा है, बहुत सारा 2-3 ग्लास और मिला दो।
ऑनलाइन वाले आरती ले लीजिए। hand. सोना है क्या अभी सो क्या है?
बनाते आया था साथ में रोका थैंक यू बोल रहे हो
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 बहुत अच्छा है। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे
चल गिर गया था
हाँ इसीलिए
गिर गया था ओ
उग्रं वीरं महावैष्णवं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युर्नमाम्यहं। जय श्री कृष्ण राम।
हस्बैंड वाइफ अगर आएंगे तो मिल लीजिएगा।